All right,
everybody. Welcome to Talk. Thank y'all for joining us again this week. Tonight we're featuring myself, Betsy Ross, my co-host, Tennessee Williams. Tennessee, go ahead.
Yes, we want to welcome y'all to episode 7. We're getting on up to 10 pretty soon. We got a special guest, GB. Tell them a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
How's it going, guys, man? I'm GB. I'm from Jackson, Tennessee. I've been here 28 years, all my life. I'm into everything from politics to, psychology, spirituality, everything of that nature. So I'm just here to touch base with the guys, man, and get down with it.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump into these issues, man. The first issue I want to speak to you about, I really want to get your opinion on, is the Trump care. You know how they go. Every time it's a new president, they just take the name of the president and put his name in front of care. That's Obamacare.
Right.
Now it's Trump care.
Exactly.
What do you think about, for 7 years, they really opposed Obamacare to the death. Now the Republicans are in office, and they just can't seem to get it right on Trump care. Like, what was they doing during that whole 7 years?
I honestly, man, to be honest, I'm white, and I got people that, are complete blind, Trump supporters. And but I do have people who have been affected by Obamacare, so I do understand. But I think the guy really is just being a little bit too impulsive with all of this quickly.
That's what I was just about to say. They rushed it out so fast. The CBO didn't even get the scores, so you don't even know how much it costs, how much it's going to affect the country. They just released it last night, and they voted on it today. Like,
right.
If you was out of office for 7 years while Obama was in office, you would think that they would have like this big, deep plan because they've been out of office for so long.
Absolutely. You figure that's the way it would be. And honestly, I respect Obama's effort for it because, like, he implemented it over, a period of years, which in this case it almost feels like it's being shoved down the throats, just that anti-Obama. And honestly, that's not, in the well-being of the person who's in need of health care anyways. To the fact that he's up in there stomping around, and a lot of this could be coming from his pride.
Yeah. Betsy, what do you think about the way they handle this Trump care? It just passed today. What's your opinion on that?
On the what? On the Trump what?
I was talking about Betsy. Talking to Betsy. What's her opinion on the Trump care?
I can barely hear you, Tennessee. Tennessee, it
okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you a little better.
Yeah. I was saying, what's your opinion on how they passed it so fast through the Congress, through the House?
Man, I think that, look, man, and I'm going to tell you like this, dude. Number one, number two, whether it was Hillary or Trump, man, Trump made his living on backdoor deals. You know what I'm saying? Like, ever since the late 80s, this man has done whatever it needs to take, to get a deal done, whether it was under the table, behind the door, whatever. So with this stuff being passed that fast, it doesn't surprise me because, he's obviously some kind of key player that he's got everybody fooled that he's not.
You know what? To be honest, he really did run on that. He said he was running to make deals. So you really can't criticize him because that's kind of what he said he was going to do.
He's doing exactly what his campaign platform was. He's doing exactly what he promised. And, I question why the country would have any issues with a politician actually doing what they have promised during their campaign. Most don't.
Exactly.
I did a list of what Obama promised when he was campaigning and a list of what Trump promised. Within 100 days, Trump has knocked out about 75% of those promises. Well, during Obama,
Betsy, Betsy.
Seriously,
I can't let you get away with a number. Did you just say 75%?
Yes, absolutely.
That's 75% pretty high. I don't think it's 75.
The main thing that he hasn't done is the wall issue. But a lot of people need to know, do you think the president has complete control and authority over every single thing that happens? Well, obviously not. you know, it has to go through the House.
It's three branches of government. It's three branches of government.
But if
I do agree.
You don't want to look at the facts. If you look at the facts, he's doing what he promised to do. And I think that's why when he was elected, a lot of the, you know, the left was like, oh, no. I think the reason they were so upset and up in arms were they knew that he was actually going to stick to his guns and do it. He's not a career politician. He's in there because of his love for this country, and I firmly believe that. So
to be honest, as warped as we've been with, you know, some of the candidates, the way the presidential has been, like with Donald Trump being in there and taking action as quickly, like people have been so used to, you know, like people not coming through or either using word perversion in what they're promising to people upon getting elected. And one of the things that I do admire about him is that he sat his ass down to the desk and started changing stuff exactly the way that, you know, he did say he was going to. You know, so I can't take anything away from that.
I want to know your honest opinion. Give me your honest opinion on why you think Hillary Clinton lost. Flat out honest opinion.
Man,
she's a liar.
Dude, I think that she is, transparent. I think she's as see-through as it comes. I think the problem was that it was more about, because here's the thing, I think it was more about just anyone other than Hillary, because I remember my family used to be Democratic, man, back, because I was born in 86, so like in the late 90s, being a Democrat was, you know, the poor man's, you know, party. So that's what it was. And then it ended up evolving, you know, into the Republican Party. And I started really honestly having Republican views and stuff. But anyways, back to the answer to the question is I think the reason that she lost was because people did buy Trump's speech on he was going to change things, which is why he's earned so many people's respect thus far, because he did stand by his words that he, you know, preached on during his campaign and whatnot. But I believe that's why they did not elect Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, you know what? I really believe that because, first of all, Obama, he won on what Trump won on. Obama stood there and said, if you tired of the same old bullshit, vote for me. Trump said, if you tired of the same old bullshit, vote for me. I think they nominated the wrong person.
Right.
Exactly. And honestly, it was one party for another. When Obama did that, I was all for it. Like, yeah, man, let's change this to whatever. You know, he was Democratic, and here we are with Trump. Yeah.
That what frustrates me because it never changes. Like, they all say they're going to change, it's going to be for the better. Then they get elected, and it's just it don't change. You know, I'm waiting for that change.
That's the biggest problem. And to be honest with you, man, that's what I get into with a lot of my even higher consciousness and self-awareness about their empty promises to you know, change the country. It's a nasty cycle that we're in, that this country's in right now, and like the biggest need of all is like really people waking up to the charade, because I believe that you know, if we quit playing their game, then they're not going to be able to play theirs anymore. If we, you know, put the glove down, they won't be able to throw the ball. We can't play ball with them anymore.
All right. We're gonna jump to the next topic. On this wall, what would be your, if you was President GB, what would be your priority in building the wall? Is that the top of the list? Is that very urgent? Like, what do you see building the wall?
Me, absolutely not. Okay, I understand the gangs. I understand Juarez. I understand, you know, everything that's going on down there. Right now, it's not top priority. I feel like what we need to be focusing about, you know, really is helping other people, like in any way, shape, form, or possible, changing the world, whether it's on an actual global scale or our individual worlds.
Why is that wall so popular then?
if we can't protect our borders and we can't protect our own nation, don't you agree that it would make it a little bit harder for us to protect and help everyone else? Like we have veterans right here in the United States who don't even have access to the things they need. Don't you agree that maybe we should focus on the inside before we start helping everybody else?
Right, exactly. I do agree with that. See, I have the unfortunate curse of like what I might call being a Libra. So I'm like pulled in both directions. I like to see from both perspectives, and I do. I see how much we have to focus on within ourselves, within the country. And, you know, it's funny because everyone's always saying, you know, go inside and look for the truth, you know. So it's time to work on the inside. I do think it's time to work on us because I think they're running some pretty shady backdoor deals. But still, like, I believe that it isn't an urgent topic, but I think maybe it might need to be updated. Not as far as, like, stacking bricks 40 foot tall or anything. I know Mexico has Guatemala blocked off. Am I correct or no?
Yes, you're correct.
Yes, like by like a 12-foot brick wall.
No, Trump said he wanted the whole border from California all the way down to Louisiana. He wanted it all 50 feet wall. They put it like a $20 billion price tag on it.
Oh, wow, man.
No, there's a lot of us who have no idea what our national security threats are. We're not a member of any security team that I know of. We're not really out there. We're not super aware of what's actually going on. Don't you agree? Like, if there's issues with MS-13 and different gang activity and different people crossing the border, would any of us really know? I mean, I want to trust in my country and the National Security Advisor to know what they're doing. You know, we have to have some kind of support behind our president, behind our country, behind the different agencies who, you know, take care of the security of this country. Because if we don't, we keep telling them, hey, no, this isn't right, this is right. Well, how do we know? I mean, they're the ones who are in control of that, who see the actual dangers every single day. And that's why you talk to a lot of these people and they're like, look, trust me, it's absolutely needed. There's things that people are unaware of. You know, do I think drugs is the biggest issue coming across the border? I mean, not really, in my, you know, personal opinion. I'd rather them not. But I think there's other issues that are greater that a lot of us just aren't aware of because we don't work day in and day out in that industry.
I gotta agree with Betsy on that. I was watching the news and they did a little special on the MS 13. I forgot how to pronounce the name. MS-13.
It is.
Yeah, MS-13. Yeah.
Man, this game is like not. This is no American game. You can tell this is a Mexico game. They come over here. They kidnap. I ain't never seen nothing like this. They kidnap you, charge you for the
human trafficking.
Yeah, they would kidnap your family, then charge you to pay them back. And if you don't pay them back, they kill them. Like they showed a special where they came to this town, this American town by the border. I mean, the people were scared to go outside. So Betsy do got a point on that. It has to be. I'm not gonna go for Trump and say a $20 billion wall from California to Louisiana. That's too much. But it has to be something in between to where the hot spot, where that little MSN-13, whatever coming in, something has to be in between to catch that.
Well, here's the only one thing I want to interject on that. With MS-13, man, I remember, you know, I was born in 86, so this year I'll be 31. But when I was like 16 in high school, there was this place in Bemis, this auto body shop, and it was a buddy of mine's dad's. He owned it, and it got tagged by MS-13, and this was back in like probably 2001. You know, and he ended up trying to paint over it, and they came back and threatened him and told him, you know, if he touched it again, you know, something was going to happen. They've been infiltrated for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I really do believe so. Like MS-13, it's been around for a while, and it might have slacked off. It can get bad in Nashville with MS-13.
Well, I know it's bad in them border. Them border states, they get their ass tore up. I just didn't think it reached as far as Tennessee. So that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, right across that border. And Juarez, I think the gang's name is the Aztecas, and they literally do like Mayan rituals on some of their victims, their opponents, as they would say, or even, helpless victims. Like they would scalp them and stuff like that, like savagery, So I understand what he's talking about when, he wants to build something that will keep people like that the hell out, because that's, that's not what we need,
Exactly. And if that wall is going to protect our border agents or keep them safe or do any kind of positive, look what is spent daily to help other countries, to help things that probably aren't even going to matter. If it's going to save lives, I'm not sure we can put a price on that. I'm really not. And I know that they face great dangers every day.
Yeah.
You can read about MS-13 and the, different killings that they've done throughout the years. In 2016, they killed 11 teenagers, in a park. It's crazy. And there was one a few months ago. I don't see a lot of this on the media. I don't know if it's, to keep people from panicking or being frantic. But you can look it up and see, that they've actually crossed the border over here. They're here illegally, and, they're doing all these different crimes. So, it's not like it's just made up and it's a fantasy. It's real.
Right. Oh, definitely that.
And they're dangerous. It's they're not like, your fun group to join and have a good time. These people are serious. They're here for one reason, and one reason only.
All right. John, we're going to go into the next little topic. We're going to kind of touch the foreign policy now. Old Kim Jong-il, whatever, however you pronounce his name. He, after years of having this very passive talk to him strategy, and he's used to this because his father did the same thing. Well, Obama, Bush, and I think his father even did the same thing. Where they talk nice to him, and he said he's going to apply by some treaty. Then he gets the money. Then he reneges and try his little weapons, missiles out. And this time, Trump gets into office, and he thinks he's going to run the same game. And Trump is talking like some real tough guy, mean shit to him. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do this, we're going to do that. Do you think this is going to work? This strategy, this change of strategy where we no longer just, we starting to threaten them now. After years of being passive with this country.
Was that for me or her? I don't mind either way.
Yeah, that's just out there. I'm just throwing out there for anybody responsible.
Well, honestly, let me be real with you. With North Korea, I even, with some of my studies about the research about real deep stuff that I do, I got into North Korea and ended up finding out like how absolutely and atrociously brainwashed that country is by that leader. And
it's a family-ran business. That family.
Right. I was appalled. I was appalled by it. The blind faith in the man, and certain things that he's got them believing, and eating and this and that. They follow the guy blindly. It's crazy. I really think that if Trump did do that, Kim Jong-un or whatever, he would end up stepping back down. He would wait till the last minute, but he would. He would. Honestly, I don't know why Korea is such a big deal, but I guess he's over there, talking a lot.
I think the reason they're a big deal because he's actively trying to get nuclear weapons. That's why they're a big deal. He's a crazy dude, and if he get them, he can put them on the tip of a missile. And it can hit, I think, Hawaii or somewhere. So that's why the big focus is always on him, because he's actively trying to get nuclear weapons.
Right, and I completely understand that. The thing about it is, man, is even with him, like, from what I understand, he's a very strategic, manipulative individual. So like. There might even be some kind of ulterior motive to him threatening and seeking nuclear missiles. You know what I'm saying? Like, to throw him off of what he's really doing.
How can you, like, this is what I'm in trouble with. How can you disarm a country when so many of the people are brainwashed? They worship this man's grandfather. Yeah, they worship his grandfather. You know, that family been ruling since, like, the 1800s. How can you stop a country when the people are just so brainwashed?
Yeah, it's really bad, man. Like, because I was looking in on how other people in other countries were living and whatnot, and over there it was pretty poor conditions, and they're still under that family and whatnot. And it's it really hit me in the heart. I don't like to see my fellow humans going through stuff like that.
Exactly, and us Americans are over here complaining about every single thing that we can complain about, including our president, who's, simply trying to protect the country. Well, what do you think? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's smart for Trump to have those tough talks with Kim Jong-un, or do you think that's even working for him to not use a nuclear war against us or to start a nuclear war with us? Do you think tough talks even work with somebody like him?
Honestly, I don't think that it would matter if he got into tough talks with someone like Kim Jong-un. Regardless, he would be arrogant about it anyways. From his tendencies and patterns shown, from then to this point. So honestly, I don't even know if that would even defuse the situation.
The reason why I kind of agree with you on that, GB, because you talking to a dude who his country worshiped his grandfather. So he never had nobody in his life tell him no. So how can you talk towards somebody who has never been told no a day in his life? Would that even
what I'm saying is there is no talking tough to the Kim Jong-un guy. It doesn't matter how Trump talks, because this guy, he knows his legacy. He knows his country. He knows he has their following. He knows how powerful, honestly, all those people make him, because they worship him and his grandfather and family. So honestly, I don't think that Trump talking or doing anything is going to help the situation, not with someone as a loose cannon as him.
There's one reason why I think Trump could make a difference in this, and that's because he's been a businessman. And I think one thing that North Korea and Kim Jong-un would be worried about is money. So if he, started looking into real sanctions, including Chinese banks that do business with North Korea, that would be a huge disaster.
Yeah, hit him where it hurts.
Money talks. And I think that's the way that, he could actually have some tough talks with them. I think that money would talk. It might get him to listen. If they're going to lose money from China, and then possibly South Korea might follow whatever China does, so they can stay in good with them. That would lessen his power greatly.
I would, I agree. I agree with that. It would lessen his power.
If he can get some sanctions, you hit somebody in the purse, that's where it always hurt. You can hurt their pride, talk about their mama and their daddy, but when you start going into their pocket, that will always hit somebody where it hurts.
Exactly. You'd be more likely to make a deal then.
I jump into the next little light moment controversy. Trump has this, Trump is a gift that keeps giving. I mean, you just talk about him all week because he says something crazy. He praised our late president, Tennessee, bless his heart, great Andrew Jackson, and he said only if his term would have been, he could have ended the Civil War, and he saw the Civil War and he didn't like it, and he wished it was a bad thing. The only bad thing about that is Andrew Jackson died almost 20 years before the Civil War. And it was all over. It was kind of embarrassing, you know what I'm saying? You praising this president, you didn't even know.
Right, exactly. that's what ends up giving him that stuff like that is what ends up giving him such a bad rap, is like when stuff like that happens, or maybe he just says something that he might not have as much knowledge as he might have thought about, and then people really want to throw stones at him and try to discredit him.
No, I seen the interview. Like I said, my jaw dropped. He was like, well, he saw it coming, and he really didn't like the way the Civil War was going. I was like, is he serious? Like, is this dude serious? Well, what do you think his fascination is with strong? Because, Andrew Jackson did a lot of things. He massacred the Indians on the Trail of Tears. He fought in a bunch of wars. I mean, he has a good record and a bad record. But one thing about him, he was a very strong individual. What do you think his fascination is with strong men? Because, he praises Putin a lot, too. These men is, like, real strong that fuck some shit up. Like, he really takes to these type of men. What do you think his fascination is with that?
I think, honestly, it's that old tradition. And, I mean, do y'all remember y'all's grandfathers? Like, and how hard, whether y'all were, younger or whatnot, and how they were hard-nosed and tough men. That's kind of even what I'm sure Trump was exposed to, too. You know what I mean? So, like, I feel like that's probably just how he naturally feels, to address the situation. I remember my granddad was like that.
You kind of like a throwback. I say, you think it's kind of like a throwback to them old times?
A little bit. I think he's just. I think it's kind of like also a sign too, like to instill, that. That's what he is. He's instilling that he's a strong man. He admires strong men. He likes to associate with strong men. And by me, that's all good. Like, if that's what he wants to do and that's his style, I'm totally cool with it.
I think the reason that Trump said that, if he was president a little bit later, if he had been a little bit later, because he did actually help to avert a plausible civil war in the 1830s. So that's why Trump said that. I think
to be correct on that, that was his vice president Calhoun from South Carolina, and he really didn't avert it. It was just the point that he was president and he didn't want South Carolina to rebel under him. So that would have been a stain on his legacy. So when he kept the Union together, it wasn't that he was pro-Union. It was that I'm Andrew Jackson and I'm in office, and South Carolina ain't going nowhere while I'm in office. That was it was more of a strong man talk.
What he did was actually just insist that the federal law reigns supreme. I mean, it was totally him. I mean, it was in the 1830s that this happened. I mean, he was the one who helped do this.
I'm telling you the motivation behind it. It had nothing to do with him for the Union, keeping the Union together. It was just more pride. He was the president, and South Carolina was acting up, and he wasn't going to let South Carolina secede up under him. So that he was president. It was pride. Things ain't going to happen when it's on your clock. So that was like a lot of that inspiration. People cite that, but he was in office and it wasn't going to happen under him.
Yeah, but I'm saying I see the reason that Trump said this. I mean, Andrew Jackson was a president that the North and the South both kind of got behind.
Very true. I remember hearing about that as well.
Like I say, he was a badass man. He fought he fought in wars. I think he fought in the 1812 war too.
Yeah, I think he sure did, didn't he?
Yeah. He fought in some wars and some duels. I remember some dude that they said at the Capitol, some dude talked about his wife. He challenged him to a duel and killed him on the spot.
Right. That's how they handled things back then.
That was
so like that, he was a strong man. He was a strong man. There ain't no question there.
That's very true.
All right. This is like I'd say a 1 year prediction. What do you see the Trump administration 1 year? Do you still think it's going to be the same chaotic every day as a news cycle, or a year from now, do you think he's going to be settled down and he's going to be more of a traditional Rand president? Like, from a year out, what do you see this Trump administration?
Okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
I couldn't really hear.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's like I
I just want a prediction, just a little quick prediction, a 1 year out prediction. Do you still see the Trump administration still running around with their head off just every week making news? Or a year from now, are they going to be settled in and it's going to be running like a normal presidency?
I sure hope it's not going to be running like it has in the past. I hope that he continues to do what he sees fit to do and doesn't just go along with what everybody else says when they disagree with him. That's what we've had in the past. You know, I think even his own party, a lot of his own party is against him, and a lot of people don't know the facts. You know, if nobody wants to sit down and hear the facts to anything anymore, all I hear is, you're not woke if you believe a certain way, and you ask these people, well, what is what is the issue? And they can't even tell you what the issue is. So many people are mad about absolutely nothing, and they don't even know facts. And that's what this country is becoming.
True.
You know, look up the Hollywood people. We're like, yeah, they get up and say a speech and they're brave. Absolutely not. Bravery is going to fight for this country and making sure we have our freedom to do what we need to do every single day to take care of our families. You know, that's bravery. Sorry, but I had to. I think that's one of the main issues to this country right now. We're looking up to the wrong people.
I feel like that right now the best thing that we could use in this country right now, even with us here on these on this line talking on this radio, I feel like this, my perspective and opinion and what I live by. I live by the laws of attraction, and I also live by how I affect my environment. So, like, I want to change the world. I want to change my country. I want to help things out. So if I can start changing my very small world, then hopefully people in my small world can change their small world, and so on and so forth, until hopefully we can, all start living a little bit better here. I believe it starts with us. I believe that is something small that we can do every single day, and that is just love our family and show, good forgiveness. I feel like that it's our duty to do that as well, instead of, even being worried about Trump sometimes. I know this stuff is very serious. Don't get me wrong. I understand the gravity of the situation, but I do think that we can make a change, but it starts with our very intermediate family, your sons or your husbands, your wives, anything, your mothers, daughters, aunts, being the positive, with them is what's going to help, change everything anyways. And hopefully in a year, Trump will be settled in, and the news probably won't be laid off of him, but I do believe he'll be settled in.
All right, I gotta jump in on what something Betsy said, because I kind of agree with that. I think that one of the main problems is just misinformation and being miseducated. I remember, because I wasn't no Obama fan, but I remember especially during the middle of his term, I would hear conversation with people who were like, just, I hate Obama, did all that, and you would ask a follow-up question, and why do you hate him? And I hate Obamacare. Why do you? They didn't know.
Yeah,
either they didn't know, or they would say something like, Obamacare gonna kill my grandma. He's doing death panels. And I was like, what the world? So it was either they didn't know, or it was something. So that being misinformed and being like it's a very serious problem. Just educate yourself, man. Inform yourself.
It really is, and I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, the country right now is so divided. I'm just going to throw this out on the panel right now. The country's so divided. What are some steps we could do just to unite everybody? The blacks, the whites, Hispanics. It's like everybody they in their own little corner, and they talking to themselves, and everybody is talking to themselves. How can we get everybody out their bubble and make people see other different people's shoes and other people different perspectives?
Oh, I definitely think. Give me 1 second here. I definitely think that plays into the same thing I said earlier with, trying to help within change, your immediate family. When you come across people, because I know, I've been rapping and doing all kinds of stuff, so I've been exposed to, all kinds of different races, religions, and all types of other stuff. And the one thing that I find in common with everyone is empathy. There is empathy there. Most people, I know y'all know people that, think are pretty ruthless, but I think if we could start trusting each other instead of letting someone show us how we maybe should feel, as far as, watching television and stuff like that, because I think that I watch television. It's no big deal, and I watch the news. But I think that, it's almost, sometimes it gets hyped up. And I feel like that really works against us. And I think that if we could start trusting each other a little bit more, or taking steps to do that, then we could bring some change.
Yeah. What's your opinion on that, Bessie?
Well, do you think that everybody has empathy, or are you talking about a specific side? I hear that a lot. I hear people say that the right is lacking empathy and the left, has much empathy, and that's why they're so open, to helping other people and things like that. So I want to get, your opinion on that. Do you feel that the Democratic Party is more empathetic?
I feel like the right has their own empathy too. It's just from a different spectrum. It's from another angle. They have their own empathy, and it's to uphold their traditional values. And I completely understand that. Like, I get it, you want to give a homeless man 20 cents, or you want to make sure that you can bear arms. Either way, there's no difference, because they're the same thing, but they're from two different spectrums. So I feel like people are trying, if you are left or whatnot, you might, try to accuse these people of the right of not having empathy when they really do. It's just not the type of empathy that you might share with them or might have in common with them.
Exactly. And you definitely don't see the left displaying a lot of empathy during their protests and demonstrations and their marches. The things that they're showing definitely doesn't seem like displays of, empathy or compassion, in my opinion,
Right. And that's another problem in its own. And if you look into it, I don't know who's doing it, and I have nothing to say, but even on some of the Black Lives Matter movements, what they're doing, you got actual people out there that are marching for a very good thing. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of, different color, whites, and I've even seen other blacks come in, and they're like mercenaries. And they literally, almost kind of ignite a riot. So, honestly, there's no telling. Like, we could be being pushed in a direction that divides us anyways. So I just feel like that if we could be a little bit more self-aware of what we're trying to be influenced and pushed and peer pressured to do, to try to resist it and, have a little bit more faith in one another, regardless of whether we're left, right, up, down, whatever. It doesn't matter, that's what I think.
Hey, that's one thing I was always kind of worried about the marches, because even you can have we can march for Christ. Me, you,
right.
can get out there and march for Christ. We could get 200 people marching for Christ, and I guarantee you, out of them 200 people, 30 of them will be up to no good. They just want to be on TV, big camera. So anytime anytime you marching, you always expose your issue to be hijacked by 30 knuckleheads who have nothing to do with it. They just woke up, seen TV cameras, and said, "Hey, let's go fuck some shit up." So
exactly. They already think, hey, it's a volatile situation, and I'm feeling volatile, so let's go.
they're using that platform as Black Lives Matter and as anti-Trump and the resistance movement to express their anger in a lot of ways, and that's not okay. That's not going to help anybody's movement or bring about any kind of positive change. You know, it just brings a bad light upon your movement.
The best way, I think, to protest is just to stand in silence. I mean, enough is enough. There should be no more screaming. There should be no more getting angry or upset. I feel like we are, hopefully moving to that. It might take some time, but, I think there's a very proper way to do that as well, and I don't think that it's right getting out there and, tearing stuff up and all that good stuff, but I do feel like there is a proper way to do it.
Exactly.
It never look. It never made no sense to me because black people, they would tear their own shit up. I remember when they passed the little jail in Jackson instead of rebuilding the JCM, they chose to build the school. I was actually within a huddle of some people who wanted to riot or whatever. I said, how you want to riot your own block? So it's just the focus is not there. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna jump to another issue. We're gonna talk about the role of the government, man. How far do you think the government should go into telling two men they should and shouldn't get married? Is that the role of the government?
Well,
go ahead. I'll let you take it.
As far as my opinion, honestly, I don't think so. I don't think it's up to them. I don't think it's anything of that nature. And to be honest with you, when you get into that subject of homosexuality, then you end up most of the time you got guys, if it's two guys or even two girls, they're probably not religious, so because obviously, they've been banished or black sheep or whatever, so I feel like that they aren't really going to shouldn't have too much of a say-so in it. I don't know why they would. There could be some type of ulterior motive interest, but honestly, I don't think so, but I don't know why they would.
This is it's a touchy issue. It's a very touchy issue because it divides the small government conservative. You can't say you're a small government conservative, then run out there and tell the government that should go out there and tear up every license that's issued. So you can't have it both ways.
Especially those like me who believe in your individual right, So everybody has
it's
right, right?
It splits that conservative. What's your opinion on it, Beth?
Well, that's where I kind of hate to get into this because that's not one of my issues. I think everybody should be free to love who they want to love, to be honest with you. But where we get into an issue with that is when they apply for license, for marriage license, and then, request government benefits. Those issues kind of become blurred because it specifies, man, woman, this, that. But, to me, I don't think that's one of the most pressing issues of the world. I see a lot of people and their marriages are better than a lot of the ones that are man and woman.
Right.
So that's not one of the most pressing issues to me. I don't think it's affecting, it's not putting our country in any danger. It's not putting our lives at risk. It's not killing unborn children.
It's not pressing you, Betsy, but Trump, he's finna sign, I think he's doing it Thursday, I think it's Friday. He's finna sign the Religious Act. It's an executive order that allows churches to opt out of the something Obamacare, and it allows businesses not to recognize marriages between two gay men or two lesbians, whatever. It's going to be challenged in court, but it's called a Religious Freedom Executive Order. He's finna sign Friday. That's why I brought it up. So you can't say it don't mean nothing when the president is finna sign a bill that makes it mean something.
Right.
So I just what is the issue? What's the issue with two men or two women being married? Like what is that? What is that hard issue?
The only thing I can think of.
I didn't see that in his executive order. I'm going to have to read it again. Let's see. I saw something, but that.
Google it's called religious freedom.
It would be just that they would allow for discrimination. Like, people would have the right to choose. Like, if you had a church, you would say, hey, yes, they can get married here or not get married here. I mean, really, if you want to get married, I don't think that's going to stop you. Most people these days who aren't, traditional or, religious aren't going to get married in a church. So, I don't see the pressing deal with that. If you love one another, you want to get married. If one church tells you no, that shouldn't stop you. Just giving the church that freedom.
What happened is when you do give a church that freedom, you walk in a line between separate and equal, because you're telling the church that they can deny the marriage to somebody. That's almost equivalent to just telling the black person, well, you can't eat her. So that's why I say you really
really.
skirt the line between.
You're born a man and a man that choose to be married. That's just like choosing their religious liberty. Everybody has the right to choose who they are.
If you allow a church to say we don't want to marry this couple, I'm telling you, you're walking down the line of flirt between separate and equal. Because if you give that church that ability,
a person gets married by their marriage license. They don't have to go to that church. If they don't have to have the ceremony at that church, you cannot take the rights away from the Christian just to give rights to other people. That is not what this country was built upon. You can't take rights away from one person just to give the minority more rights. Because the LGBT, they are the minority community.
What rights are you taking away from the church? What rights are that?
If you tell that church that they can't, that they have to marry people, that they, that is against their religious views, you're taking the right of their liberty, their religious liberty to choose, away from them. That's how they feel. So it's not going to mean that people can't get married.
And what would that be the difference between a business owner saying, I don't want to serve blacks, and if you force me to serve blacks, you taking my rights away? Like, what's the difference?
Because that's completely different. That would be denying somebody based upon their color. You can't do that. You can't deny people based on their race.
But you can deny them based on their sexual orientation. You can't deny them on their color, but you can deny them on their sexual.
Right. All we choose what we want in the life that we want to live. There's some things we don't choose. We don't choose what we're born with. We don't choose what race we're born.
Go ahead and jump in there, GB. What you think about that?
Man, dude, the only thing that I can think about it is that honestly, I feel like if two people love each other, I feel like they should get married. I see the point in what you're saying on the lines being blurred and having that kind of comparison. What I do think, I really do think it isn't right for, really any type of creed, race, or even, in my opinion, sexual orientation. It really shouldn't, matter. We're kind of moving to a point past that a little bit, and I don't think it's putting anyone in too much danger.
I think what he's trying to do is protect everybody's rights. If you look deep into it, that's all he's trying to do. He's not discriminating against anybody. He's saying, look, if this is the way somebody feels, it's not stopping anybody from doing anything or getting married, or I would have a problem with it. I definitely believe if you love somebody, you should be able to be with them. But I don't see an issue with, why in the first place would you want to be somewhere and marry somewhere where somebody doesn't want you? How would that even be, I just don't see that.
While I was playing devil's advocate, I wanted you to go ahead. I wanted you to kind of see the opposite side while I was playing devil's advocate. If I was raised in a Baptist church and at 20 years old I came out as being homosexual and I went to my Baptist pastor and said I want to get married, and he says, no, I'm not going to marry you, do you know how bad that will hurt that person? So I just want you to show the other side. I want you to step into the side of the other shoe and see how it hurts. If you've been going to the church your whole life and you come out and say I'm gay,
it might hurt the preacher too. You know how I am, Tennessee. I'm big for not taking away one person's rights to give another person more rights. You know, I'm big on.
It's a hard subject, man. Like I said, it's a hard because anytime you're dealing with religion, it's very hard, man. We got people over in Israel and Palestinians. They killing each other right now, so it's hard when you're dealing with religion. It's hard.
If you strongly feel one way and you're a preacher, are you telling me, Tennessee, that you feel that preacher should step aside, drop everything he feels to make another person feel safe and protected? I mean, that seems to be what you're saying.
No, I was raised
Southern Baptist.
No, I was raised Southern Baptist. I don't support gay marriage at all. But I have gay friends, and they tell me their point of view. And even though I don't support their lifestyle, I've heard it long enough to where I know where they're coming from when they saying that. Most of these people, they've been closeted for 20 years, and then when they finally come out, they feel happy and relieved, and then they show you their partner, and then they're rejected. And that's where they coming from.
See,
so
I have a ton of people who have went through this exact same thing that I'm actually friends with, and I don't see that any of the churches that they were a part of had any problem in it. And that's what's funny to me, because so many of the Christians that I know are accepting, loving. I'm not sure how they get a bad rap. I'm sure because 3 or 4 across the United States have had cases that are in the media that they've refused to marry people or things like that. But from what I've seen, and right here in West Tennessee, in the South, the preachers have been accepting, loving, been a part of, everything. Even though they weren't able to, of course, be married here, they were accepting them into their church, into their lifestyle. They did not judge them. And that's what I've seen from
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I was raised in a Southern Baptist household and very anti-gay. I mean, you didn't even speak to them. I could tell you some things my grandmama did that would just blow your mind. Very anti-gay. So that love thing that you see, I did not see that. The way I was raised.
Well, I'm thankful I was raised
not
to judge.
I see.
And I tried
that's how I was.
But I do
it
try
was
to
all
hold
about
up
love,
to personal responsibilities and rights. But I was taught to love and accept, and as long as nobody's causing a threat or any type of harm to me or this country, I tend to not have a problem with them. And that's just, the way that I am and the individual that I am. And it's got a lot to do with how I was raised. So that's why I have such a diverse group of friends. I think a lot of times it's just people want to put a label. They're like, oh, you're a Trump supporter, you're this. You have to judge people by their actions, how they've lived their life. What have they really done to help other people? What do they do on a daily basis? If they're not doing all those things that are racist or involve hatred, why say those things? It bothers me.
Right, they wouldn't be a product of their environment if they wouldn't be saying that if they hadn't been.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're right.
All right, we closing in.
I do understand.
We closing in on the 8:00 hour, man. We better get some closing statements about here. It was nice to have you, GB, man. We definitely gonna have you.
Hey, man,
back.
absolutely. Both of you guys, man. Hey, dude, I'm an open book. 24/7, 365, man. You guys ever want to just rap and talk about whatever you might have written down, either one of y'all, just shoot me a message, brother, and we'll make it happen, man. I love chatting with you guys, man. It's been great, and I really appreciate you having me and letting me express my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything coming up or anything that you want to set out before we get on down? You got anything coming up?
Man, I got to get a shout out to my wife, man. Dude, 2 years, man, and she's still like, my best friend, dude. It's like I met her yesterday. It's ridiculous, bro. So, shout out to my wife,
That's
Jessica,
awesome.
and my daughter, Ellie. As far as music, I don't have any upcoming shows coming up. I'm really contemplating making my 3rd project. I'm not sure yet. But I am doing shows and stuff like that, So if any of them do come up and I can get back on this podcast, I would definitely love to give a shout-out or either get them to you so that you can.
Yeah, let me know, because I'm still, the last one I was on was the Black Flag. That was my Shit.
Hey man, yeah, I just exposed a whole nother group of people to it, man. It's weird. That was like, 3 years ago. People are just now getting on to it, and it's like a revival type thing. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it is, man. But I really enjoyed talking with you guys, man.
We enjoyed having you. Thank you so much for being on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me, man. Lamont, hey, both of you guys have a great night. Hey, you want me back on the podcast, hit me up, brother. I have no problem chiming in.
All right. Everybody else, call for joining us again this week, and make sure you join us again next week at 7 o'clock for another show. Y'all have a good night.
Y'all have a good one.
You too.